on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, live from Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Welcome to the Aggie Diamond Hour with Jim Schlossnagle and Trisha Ford. Brought to you by 44 Farms, the official beef of Texas A&M Athletics. And by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Here's the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco.
Andrew Monaco is in Nashville, where the Texas A&M men's basketball team is playing in the SEC tournament. So I'm Will Johnson here on the Aggie Diamond Hour. Welcome to Rudy's on Harvey Road. This ought to be a pretty good Diamond Hour. Texas A&M baseball 17-0. Aggie softball is 22-2.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it should be a pretty good hour. A little later on, Trisha Ford with Matt Simon to talk softball. But for the first half hour, again, I'm Will Johnson with our head baseball coach, Jim Schlossnagle, and the Aggies 17-0. They've won their first 17, and they're headed to Gainesville to start SEC play this weekend. And just a good time to be an Aggie then, isn't it, Coach?
Always a good time to be an Aggie. Yeah, good time to this point. I feel good about where our club is. Wish we get there's always somebody nicked up here and there injury-wise. Hopefully maybe get a few guys back, but we're excited to get conference play started. And I've never been to Gainesville, so looking forward to that experience. My mom's down there right now at spring training watching her favorite Orioles play. So she's at a ball game right now, and I'll get to see her tomorrow night. She's bringing cookies. So,
golly, everybody's going to eat good then.
Mama's homemade snickerdoodles. I can't wait.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
The last two games to remain undefeated required Olsen Magic. The phenomenon is alive and well here in Aggieland, isn't it?
It is. It is. Yeah, I was proud. Number one, just the opportunity to hit in all 9 innings. I prefer to not hit in the bottom of the ninth. That means we've won the game. But no, it's throughout the course of the season, it's going to have to compete in games in different ways and win games different ways. So it doesn't matter who you're playing. It's good for our team to go through those experiences because when you get in these conference games, especially, or playing really good team like Sam Houston, who's playing really well and they have a really good team. And we saw all their best arms last night, or most of their best relievers for sure. You got to be able to compete with that if you want to play in our league and if you want to be in a postseason. So it's a good experience for us.
How about 7,300 plus for a Tuesday night?
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's definitely what I wanted to start the night off with. Was the 12th man has just been. They're always awesome, but I think we're turning a corner. We all been pushing to have people not just buy a ticket but show up, come to the game. Buying the ticket's great, but coming to the game is better. And so people are coming. People are starting to exchange ticket or hand tickets out to their friends. Or I get people texting me all the time, "Hey, I'm not doing anything with these tickets." So I'm like 2 hours before the game, I'm moving tickets around, which is fine. But and then really making some noise, And I think if you watch some of the places, especially on our side of the SEC, Arkansas, LSU, Ole Miss, I don't know how Florida is. South Carolina, I've heard is like that. When those are hard places to play, and both last night and Sunday, the 12th man played a role in those kids for the other team getting a little nervous and being loud and not being able to hear. You hear our own guys putting their pitchers putting their glove over the ear because they can't hear the pitch comm being, and we want that all the time. So credit to 12th man and everybody being there, and please continue to show up. Our kids deserve it, and it's awesome. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. And also with 17-0, I think anytime anybody's on a streak, that's what people want to talk about. The folks at Rudy's Barbecue want to talk about 17 wins in a row to start the season. It is the third best start in school history. But within the clubhouse, within the confines of your offices, these players, I've talked to you, I've talked to some of the guys. It doesn't feel like the word streak ever comes up during all this.
Yeah, it truly doesn't. It truly our guys respect, our deal is we're going to respect the game and we're going to respect our opponent. We're not going to fear anybody, but we're going to respect everybody and truly try and make it sounds coachy, but opening day every day.
Yeah.
It's opening day every day. Happy opening day. You hear our guys talk. That's a little joke, but they'll use that, and I think that's great because how does everybody feel on opening day? There's great hope. There's great promise. Everybody's 0 for 0. Nobody's gone 0 for 4 or has a 9 ERA, and so if you can have that mentality all the time, gives you a better chance, especially in our sport. The challenge is going to be when we do get punched in the face, and I mean, I'd like to think we're going to win them all, but probably not going to happen. So when we do, can we have that same mentality when we've had a negative experience the night before, or the day before? So, and I believe in this team a lot, but that'll be our challenge moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Prager, earlier this week, he was named the National Pitcher of the Week according to Perfect Game with his brilliant performance against Rhode Island. He threw shutout ball. He struck out 13. Again, you don't like to necessarily use the word streak, but he has thrown 23-plus scoreless innings to start the season. Coming off the injury, missing last season, do you even kind of look at it and go, wow, with what Ryan's doing at the moment? Yeah,
I don't care who you are, how hard you throw, what kind of prospect you are, if you're coming off an injury or if you've been 1,000,000% healthy. That's just not normal. It's very abnormal. And so what Ryan's doing is awesome. He's filling up the strike zone. We've played defense behind him. But I think his last outing, he threw 92 pitches and threw 19 balls. I mean, the first 17 pitches of the game were strikes, something like that. Crazy. So he's just filling the strike zone up. And, the challenge moving forward is going to be, doing that same exact thing in the league. And when you're facing the guys we're going to see this weekend for a really good Florida team, the more often you're in the strike zone, the more likely you are to get guys out. You're also more likely to have the ball put in play. And so when it gets put in play and it's a hit or maybe a homer or something like that, can you get right back in the strike zone? So I'm sure Ryan will do that, and he sets the tone for our pitching staff. And is a great example of continuing to, as Coach Max says, try to dominate the strike zone.
Yeah, and with Coach Max, your first-year pitching coach, Max Weiner, comes in. Statistically, I mean, it looks very good. You guys essentially rank in the top 10 nationally and at the top of the SEC in pretty much just about every important pitching category there is. But it's more than just the numbers, the difference that Max Weiner has made. He's going to be on the podcast, Studio 12 podcast, little plug there, that will be unveiled tomorrow. We talked with him today, and he's such a fun conversation. Yeah. And you can kind of see how he can build a relationship with a pitcher. Yeah. And it goes beyond just what to throw, when to throw it. It just his connection with that staff, and it's paid dividends.
Yeah, the pitching stuff is actually the thing he does the least. I mean, it's that relationship building, trust factor. He truly knows how they tick, and that's important because, pitchers are like kickers, man. They need somebody other than the head coach with them every day. I don't think it's possible anymore. I know there are some people doing it. Maybe it's possible, but in my mind, the pitchers need their own person to go to, and Max does an awesome job with that. He has a very unique background, which allows him to be, and he's very young, which allows him to be ultra successful in doing that. He's got great grasp of the English language. Really does. I'm serious, man. The guy's brilliant. He really does. He does. And he's got a great heartbeat too. He gets excited during the games too, but he controls his emotions way better than me for sure, which is important because he's the one calling the pitches. But he's done an awesome job. But we got to understand that, going forward, the lowest intra-conference ERA in the SEC last year was almost 5.5. Mm-hmm. The lowest. And the average number of runs scored in SEC games is 10 by the two teams. Mm-hmm. So, I would love to think that these numbers are going to remain these numbers. We know they're not going to remain these numbers. As coaches, we can look and see, we got that guy out with that pitch, but that ain't going to work against X and Y in our conference like it wouldn't work against Jace or Braden or any of that stuff. So we recognize that, and that's why we're trotting different guys out there and trying to do different things to see who can do what when it matters the most in our conference, which starts on Friday.
Mm-hmm. We talked to you before the season, asked about Max, and to give people a visual of the coach's offices, if you ever go up there, Max always has, it feels like 2 or 3 pitchers in his office, and it always looks like a therapy session going on.
Yeah, I need to get some therapy in there, I think, especially dealing with umpires. But no, he's got a great sense for it, man. He really does, and it is his office is the door's closed. There's candles. I mean, I don't even want to know what's going on in there. So, but there is glass, so I do get to see that they're just in there talking.
You could peek in from time to time.
Yeah, I can see who's in there getting the counseling.
Yeah, switch it over to the offense, your lineup. They're going at it pretty well right now. Last night, I mean, I'm still in awe of a 470-foot home run by Jace Laviolette. You don't see a lot of them clear the batter's eye out in center field. Yeah,
but when they do, he's one that can do it, that's for sure, especially when he gets it combined with the wind. But, yeah, the game it's a constant flow of, with baseball players in general, but it's you're trying to adjust constantly. It's going great, and then with some guys, when it goes a little sideways, they don't worry about it. They know they swung at a bad pitch. It's not their swing. And with other guys, every single at bat is like coddling your child. Like, come on, you got it, buddy. Like, hang in there. And Jace is the guy that sometimes thinks a little bit more about his swing than he needs to. He wants to. Usually when a guy made it out or struck, it was about the pitch. It's not about your swing. It's about the pitches you swing at. No one can hit the ball that bounces or the one that goes over your head while you're swinging at it, right? So, but Jace, he and Mike have a great relationship, so they did some early work, watched a lot of video. Tuesday morning, we're on spring break, so they hit early, and then it's awesome when you go right up there and your first at-bat guy hits a homer, and then the second bat hits another homer. So we were cheering over there, and as coaches, we were looking early doing that because he had put so much time in with Jace. But, yeah, that's what you're constantly doing is just trying to help these kids feel more confident when they go to home plate, and then that gives them the best chance to be successful.
And then right behind him, Braden, he's third in the nation in runs driven in. And if you look at the way he splits up, I think it's over 400, whether he's hitting right-handed or left-handed. Almost you can't get a matchup with him because he's the switch hitter that can do it so well from both sides. But I would think the fans here would label him as a fun player to watch so far.
Yeah.
And for you, too.
Yeah, it'd be a heck of a lot better job if I had all 9 of those guys. Yeah, Braden. I think the thing for Braden's historically been a better left-handed hitter, numbers-wise. And one of his reasons, when we were recruiting him and said, hey, we have a bunch of lefties, like we'll stack all your at-bats in the fall against lefties so you can get better as a right-handed hitter. And to this point, they're closer. So that is a tougher move. But, the thing about leading, having a great number of RBIs, is that means there's a lot of guys on base ahead of you. And so key to our team isn't just Gavin and Jace. It's Camarillo, whoever's playing second base, the guys hitting 7, 8, 9 on the team. We need those guys to get on base. I don't really care what they hit. I need them to be on base. Mm-hmm. And then if they get on base, and you look at Kent's got more walks and strikeouts, I think Camarillo probably has more walks and strikeouts, and especially if you include hit by pitches. And so that's the key to our club is there's a lot of people on base. And then you're going to have games where you don't get the hit. Like Braden hit a ball 114 miles an hour last night. Mm-hmm. 114. That the second baseman dove, almost knocked his glove off, and he caught it and threw the guy out. So you're going to have some of those, and you'll leave some guys, leaving guys on base is not something I ever worry about because that means you have people on base, mm-hmm. right? The only way to score other than a homer is to get guys on. So the more guys you have on, the more likely you are to leave them on. But currently, Braden's driving a lot of runs in.
All right, we have Jim Schlossnagle with us right here on the Aggie Diamond Hour from Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road. A&M is 17-0, and they are headed to Gainesville to take on Florida this week. Starts SEC play. We'll take a break, but first I want to tell you that Mas Fajitas is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Come by and see us at our College Station location off Highway 6 for great food, great drinks, and great service. Mas Fajitas, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Back in a bit on the Aggie Diamond Hour. Right here, this is Texas A&M baseball from Learfield. At Texas A&M, our goal is to build champions, and we need you, the 12th man, to be a part of that like never before by joining us in our official NIL partner, Texas Aggies United. Join Texas Aggies United today at TexasAggiesUnited.com and help build the best NIL program in the country. Welcome back to Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road. It is the Aggie Diamond Hour. I'm Will Johnson with our head baseball coach, Jim Schlossnagle. In just a bit, Matt Simon and Trisha Ford with Texas A&M softball will be here. Texas A&M baseball, though, takes the undefeated record off to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon from Condren Family Ballpark. So the Aggies and Gators get SEC play started. Obviously a very talented bunch that you face in Florida. This was a team that was in the College World Series finals last year. Just your thoughts on what you've seen. You've studied them. You look at them. What does it take against the Gators? What some strengths of theirs that you'll have to try to match?
We just played last night, so I never look ahead of any team. We have some other people on our staff that will do that. But so I just started this afternoon. I try not to ever watch the other teams play because it's just scary. I'd just rather deal with them when it's time to deal with them. But, they have a really good team. They lost their top two pitchers off of last year's team that were really high picks, draft picks, first and second round pick, I think. But they return, a guy that may win the Golden Spikes Award, a guy that's as big and strong and has as much power, not as fast as Jace, but is a big, strong left-handed hitter. And Caglione is his name, right?
Jack Caglione.
Yeah, Caglione. Yeah. And then he pitches on Sundays, and, he's only left-handed and throws like 98 miles an hour, and now he's throwing strikes, and with a good breaking ball, and he pitches in the third game. So we'll have that to deal with, and then they had a transfer that was a freshman All-American from Alabama by the name of Colby Shelton, who hit 25 homers last year for Alabama as a freshman and transferred to Florida. So two left-handed hitters. So we're going to need to manage people ahead of those guys so that when they do get their hits or hit their homers, there's not that many people on base. They're not pitched to this point. They haven't pitched as well because they lost a lot. So they have a lot of really talented young pitchers, and so they've had their moments of doing great, and they've had their moments of getting beat up a little bit. So hopefully the latter will show up against us. But there actually hasn't been a more consistent program in the country more than Florida in the last 10 years. And if you look at what Coach O'Sullivan's done, super regionals, College World Series, one national title, it's phenomenal, their record. It's like 9 in the last 10 years in a super regional. It's crazy. And so I'm looking forward to seeing their new ballpark. The athletic director at Florida, Scott Strickland, I worked with at Tulane when he was our sports information director, and so should be a good trip. Hopefully we'll play well.
And the cookies are waiting.
And the cookies are waiting. Yeah. Can't wait. Uniform's going to be a little tighter when I get back.
The thing about this league is you want to go out, you want to try to win every game. But to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, the reality of this league is you have 14 schools right now that I would tell you it's so talented and it's so evenly matched. Every single one of them is about to go 15-15.
Every single one of them.
And are you just trying to be the team that can get to 16-14,
somehow,
17-13?
Just don't get swept.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't get swept somehow. Just whether it's at home or on the road, you'll win your share. Just somehow, especially when you go on the road, somehow try to win a game. And when you have a chance to win one, you got to win it. You got to go. You can't. That's one thing as I've watched and studied some of the coaches in this league over time is that they're not afraid to, if it means throwing the Sunday starter on Friday night to finish the game, to win the game, almost all of them do it. Mm-hmm. And Dave Van Horn he and Bianco have been around the league the longest, and you watch how they manage it, and when you talk to them, and fans don't want to hear that. We want to win them all. I want to win them all. But when you go on the road, if you can find a way to win a game, you got to do it. And if you get lucky, I'll never forget first SEC series, we go to LSU, and we win on Friday after we had played so horrible against the whole preseason or whole pre-conference. We win on Friday and then somehow win on Saturday against LSU. And we're walking out of the left field where the bus parks at LSU. And Nolan Kane said, I feel like we just robbed a bank. and I was like, that's interesting. That's exactly what you feel like when you find a way to win one on the road and then somehow win another. Like, that's what it feels like in this conference. And when you're not in the league, when I was at TCU, I'd hear SEC coach say that. I'm like, whatever, man. All the teams are hard to play, and they are. The Big 12's tough too. But something about this league where, man, the players are so good. They're so good. All the highest draft picks, all the the Hall of Fame coaches and the big crowds. It's different. It is different. And so, we'll go down there and see if we can't win one on Friday and move from there.
And you mentioned it before, I believe. These series, these weekends, they're exhausting. I mean, you'll arrive back home on Sunday night just spent.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And that's when somebody asked me, when did you know it was different? Because how I feel on Sunday night, whether home or on the road. Like, you're mentally, because almost every single pitch feels like last night, where every single pitch is riding on, it's a homer. This is a homer about to happen. That's how good the players are, and vice versa. So, but we have 10 of them coming up, and hopefully we can follow what Coach Ford did this past when she got a sweep against a nationally ranked Gamecock team. So, yeah, we'll follow her lead. See if I can't learn something from her.
All right. Well, she's coming up here.
I know.
You can listen to her in just a bit.
She's the best. We did our speaking tour in the fall. Best coach on campus right there.
All right.
By far.
Nice.
Yep.
Because if you can be that team that can get to 16-14 or 17-13 in this league, also with what you guys have built up pre-conference, now all of a sudden you're the team bringing the postseason here to College Station for as long as you can, a regional, super region.
Yeah, and that's the goal. I've said it a couple times before the season started. Had one of our donors come up to me and say, "Yeah, you're picked 10th in the country preseason, but the 6th SEC team." And the guy said, "I sure would be disappointed if you finished 6th in the SEC." I said, "You do know the first 8 teams hosted the regionals last year, right? So if you told me right now we could finish 5th or 6th in the league, I'd sign the contract right now." Right now. And I think everybody in here, that would mean we're hosting a regional and maybe a super regional at Olsen Field. Like, what matters more than that? I mean, I'd love to win the conference. That's cool. But at the end of the day, you want to have your team rested, healthy, ready, and prepared to be in the NCAA tournament and go win. And the numbers say you have a better chance to win when you're playing at home. So, yeah, I mean, we're a long way from that. I mean, golly, we haven't even played a game yet. So, the goal is to get to 500, winning 15 out of 30. To me, that's the base level goal, and then if we get that or something better, that's great.
And Friday night, and the rest of the 29 of them, it comes down to the little things, like you said, throwing strikes. You guys always, and I talk about it a lot. You keep the 90-foot chart. Are you taking the bases, or are you giving away the free bases? All the talent that's out there on the field Friday night and through the conference schedule, it's going to come down to those small things each and every night in these 30 games.
Yeah, and the timely hit, right? How many free bases can we get? And then you combine that with Braden or Jace or Gavin or somebody putting a big swing on the ball, and that's what changes the games. Last night I think they had 4 straight hits. Maybe that rarely happens. Mm-hmm. Rarely do you get beat that way. It's usually walk, error, homer, and that's how we've won. That's how we came back on Sunday. That's how we won the game last night. So, yeah, it's just like football. You don't turn the ball over. Get off the field on 3rd down. All that stuff that happens in football. So, hopefully we'll win those free base wars this weekend.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time tonight.
Man. Thanks for having me.
See you in Gainesville.
I'll be there.
All right. Jim Schlossnagle right here on the Aggie Diamond Hour. Coming up in just a second, Matt Simon and Trisha Ford. Before we break it, I want to tell you to head right here to Rudy's Barbecue, or at rudys.com. You can place an order for their real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. And don't forget, Rudy's serves made-to-order and grab-and-go tacos every day until 10 a.m. And we are back to Rudy's here on Harvey Road with Trisha Ford on set. Thanks to Jim Schlossnagle. Good luck in Gainesville this weekend to start SEC play. We're back in a bit on the Aggie Diamond Hour. This portion has been Aggie Baseball from Learfield.
Aggie softball season is presented by T-Mobile. Whether your team is home or away, T-Mobile has Texas A&M covered. From coast to coast, fans are getting more coverage and incredible value as T-Mobile brings 5G to hometowns across the SEC. Switch now. Make T-Mobile your hometown network. Welcome back to the Aggie Diamond Hour at Rudy's Barbecue, 504 Harvey Road in College Station. We've gone to the bullpen and gotten our pitching coach, head coach of Aggie softball, Trisha Ford. The Aggies 23-2 on the season. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Not bad.
That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
Tied for first. It's early, but tied for first atop the SEC standings at 3-0, along with LSU. The Aggies ranked. I lose track because there's about 8 different polls, but as high as 13 in the polls, and a big series coming up this weekend against Mississippi State. But 23-2 start for you, Trisha. This weekend, the series against South Carolina. Not sure if a lot of the fans were there this weekend. We had some awesome crowds. 3 fantastic, I thought, softball games where every pitch mattered, every play mattered, every at-bat mattered. Obviously, you're thrilled to have a sweep, but how proud are you of the effort from the team this weekend?
Yeah, it took elements from all aspects of the game for us to win this weekend. Those of you that are like me that are pitching nerds, the Friday night duel, let's call it, between All-Americans on the hump. Kennedy hasn't been an All-American yet, but hopefully she continues, and that comes down the road. But yes, let's give that to watch them go pitch to pitch, I thought was really cool. I enjoyed it more watching it after the game, but it was good.
I don't think, you have to kind of be a softball aficionado to realize who was in the circle for South Carolina. Elena Vaughter, multiple-time All-American, pitched Stanford into the College World Series. She is at or near the top of almost every Stanford pitching category in the Pac-12.
Yep.
To beat her not just once, but twice. I think,
fun.
it was a lot of fun. But that's a huge confidence boost if Emily needs any more of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you were able to see her kind of get into her element. She started the first couple innings just not as crisp as she would have liked, and then you could really see her just focus, settle in, and just pound the zone. It was fun to see.
23-2. As you look back, obviously you have the 3 wins in conference play. The 2 losses, by the way, are 1-run losses in the last at-bat. So you're right there in those games, too. What's maybe been the most impressive thing out of your team so far through these first 25 games of the season?
I just think our consistency of showing up and figuring out a way to win, whether it be by our speed, our power, throwing shutouts. Coach Harger, our hitting coach, this is his line. If we throw shutouts, we win. Well, I always say if we score more runs, we win. So, half a dozen, whatever, But yeah, I think really it's been our ability for top to bottom of our lineup being able to contribute and, when somebody's not having a good day, somebody else is.
We've had this talk many a times on the road and even before some of the home games where you're trying to build the culture of Aggie softball and the way you want this team to play. And yes, your goal is to win games, and yes, your goal is to win championships, but at this stage in the building process, I guess, of Aggie softball, it's more about the actual process, isn't it? How much, how pleased are you maybe with that and what you've been seeing out of them through the course of the year?
Yeah, I think I'm overall pleased, but we're still in the grind of it. So, I think our biggest focus has been don't really care what everybody is saying about us. I want us to come out. We're going to play clean defense. We're going to pound the zone, and we're going to take advantage of mistakes over the plate, right? 17 inches. Let's cover 17 inches and, make them pay. And I think we have the ability in the lineup from top to bottom to, put up crooked numbers quickly. So if we can play good defense, pound the zone, I think, it's in our favor.
And Harger can get you some runs, right?
Yes, 8 runs. I asked him every game this weekend. Not hard.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have Trinity.
There we go.
She'll talk about that later. I think it's interesting because, last year was last year, this year was this year. Same thing with South Carolina. But the first game I thought was a microcosm, I think, of how things are sort of turning in the way you kind of want it. The bases immediately get loaded in the first inning on Friday. Maybe last year, and that's as much Emily as it is the entire team. I mean, maybe it's a 2-0 deficit after the first inning last year. And then they do it again in the second inning. But for you to find for her to get out of that and for the confidence to build out of that, that's the little things you're talking about, isn't it?
100%. And when you talk to Lefty now, she sounds like a totally different person. She knows when she gets on the mound that she's better. and she says it with conviction. You can see it in her face, and that's the stuff that, you know, us as coaches really enjoy seeing, that change in a person from somebody who I would say not necessarily would not want to be the center of attention. We have a circle drawn around us, so I think, you know, you're kind of the center of attention, but to somebody now who wants the ball. You know, I've gone to her every day of every game we've played, and I'm like, hey, how are you feeling? She's like, I'm fine, give me the ball. And I'm like, I love that. Like, it's just very different.
On the offensive side, I think what's been really fun about this season is it hasn't had to be, and we'll talk to Trinity Cannon here in a little bit, but last year maybe it was if Trinity or if Julia are not hitting, maybe the offensive numbers are going to be down a little bit. This year has not been the case at all. I mean, you all have multiple, I think, pretty significant threats in the lineup. As a coaching staff, and the substitutions you can make, the pinch runners, the defensive changes, giving someone a day off, and you're not losing a lot there. What's it been like to kind of work with this offensive group sort of here in year two?
Yeah, I think it's been special. I think practice has been really good, to be honest, because you're pushing each other. So between Jazz, Trin, and Julia, there's a lot of smack talking going on during practice. So that's been fun. They're trying to bring Maya Perez into it. AC's entering. She's kind of in and out of it. But those are kind of our bangers, I would call them. And then you have, you know, Allie Enright, Rylan Wiggins, Savannah Price. There's a good chunk of them. Kramer, Eshte. That are very solid kind of, you know, doubles hitters. And so then that's kind of their group, and they kind of, you know, compete against each other. And then you got the speed group. So you have, you know, Haley Golden, Coco, and KP, Kennedy Powell. And so, you know, they're able to kind of beat you in a multitude of ways, whether it be the short game. We got 2 bunts down in a row this weekend. That was a minor miracle. You know, be able to put pressure on defense and make them, you know, force them to make errors. And so, you know, it's kind of cool to see your groups within your lineup be able to compete every single day and get better.
I suspect they're keeping track of who's leading the team in
yes,
home runs
absolutely.
and RBIs.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
I see a smile over there. I figured that, yeah. Talk, too, about protecting your home field. Davis Diamond, obviously a tremendous facility, and I thought the crowds were fantastic this weekend. They were loud, they were energetic, they were into it. But protecting your home turf this weekend in this league, it's such a war every single weekend. How big was that?
Well, I think it was huge, and it was very electric. I know we crossed over with our undefeated boys over there, which it's really cool to kind of go on a sidebar. Like Jim and I, we text each other all the time. Just, we know how hard it is, and we spend a lot of time together, and my players are probably tired of me. I'm like, I love that guy. Like, he's such a good guy, and I know I can go to him and bounce ideas. So our whole athletic department is kind of special, but I think for us, you know, it was rowdy, and we had a little altercation, I guess you could say. It got a little rowdier, and you know, I think it's definitely played a huge element in kind of our game, especially when they're run games.
How hard is it what they've done this year at 17-0, and what you've done at 23-2 in this sport, where if you just catch one hot pitcher on a good day, then it doesn't really matter kind of what offense you're on. How hard can you describe to people how hard that is to put those records up?
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around what, you know, our baseball team has done. It's just been amazing. And the thing that people don't realize, especially since we're still this is kind of our last year dealing with the COVID super seniors, just the parity across the nation in both of our sports is unreal. You've got kids that, you know, like you said, you're just kind of catching them at a right time, and they match up well against your team, and you're like, all right, fellas, like, this is going to be a hard one. Let's figure it out. And I was telling him I'm trying to work in my office and have the game on, and, you know, I wasn't getting a lot of work done. But to see Olsen magic happen again, the last 2 games especially, I think is really cool.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Aggie Diamond Hour. We come back, we will talk with Trinity Cannon, Aggie first baseman, and kind of get her thoughts on the start of this season as well. We'll be back to Rudy's here in just a little bit. You're listening to the Aggie Diamond Hour. This is Texas A&M softball from Learfield. Hey, 12th man, there's really no better way to describe the uniqueness of Walk-On Sports Bistro. Start every dish from scratch and use fresh ingredients to bring our mouth-watering Cajun cuisine to life. And whether they're here for dinner or with the family, date night, cocktails with the girls, that'll probably be us this weekend in Starkville, or watch a game on the big screen, we're always happy to share the Louisiana culture with you. Walk-On's proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Welcome back. It is the Aggie Diamond Hour. We're coming at you from Rudy's Barbecue, 504 Harvey Road in College Station. Got our resident Naismith Hall of Famer, Gary Blair, in the house with us.
Coach Blair.
Tucked back in the corner over there. So he's trying to slide back in there, but coming to watch here. He came to listen to you, Trent. That's what he Aggie first baseman Trinity Cannon sitting up here with us as well. And Trent, 23-2 start, 3-0 in conference. I know you want to win them all, but that's a pretty darn good start to the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it speaks a lot of what we do at practice, and not only at practice but off the field, the bonding that we've done, the war games that they put us through and stuff. I think this record shows how much that has paid off.
Aggies take a .333 team batting average into Starkville, fourth in the SEC, third, I think, in home runs with 34. You hit a couple of big ones of late. I don't know if people caught the walk-off grand slam against UTSA. If you missed that one, she did it again on Saturday, the walk-off against South Carolina, and then tucked back in there was the two-run triple on Sunday. Safe to say, feeling pretty good at the plate, I think.
Yeah, when you have hitters all around you, like you were talking about, Jazz and Julia, some days we're not going to have our best days, and Jazz had hers on Friday, and I can remember right before she had gotten out, before I went up in the 10th inning, she told me, she goes, "Pick me up, Trent." I said, "Oh, okay, this is my time." And again, Vaughter's an All-American, and I think it was just playing mind games with her the whole entire weekend. I was sitting that outside drop ball, and sure enough, the changeup came in, and that's what I was sitting.
Knocked it out, just like that. For people that haven't played the game, either baseball or softball, speak to how important it is as a hitter, and especially one that's a threat, to have other threats around you. How much better can that make you as a hitter, knowing that maybe they don't have to pitch around, they have to pitch to you, or however that works? How does that factor in as a hitter?
Going back to UTSA, I remember they had put Jazz or Jules, and then again, Ryland's like, "Oh, they're going after Jules." I said, "I don't think they're going after Jules. I'm 0 for this game." And so, it really gets you hyped up when they turn around. They're like, "Let's go." Like, they're coming after you. They're attacking you. And again, when you have such big hitters, they can't just avoid all three of us, because then you have the bottom of the lineup coming up that can swing just as well as we can.
How much fun has it been to hit in this lineup? And you guys seem like you have a great amount of chemistry. Everybody seems to be getting along really well, and you have fun. It really seems like you guys are having fun out there.
I think everybody's just buying in at this point. Even when we have pinch hitters come in, I think that's when we get the most rowdy, just because they're always there for us. And when you look back in the dugout, when they go in, we're just as loud as they were, just because it's so fun to see all the practice that they put in pay off when they're in that box.
As one of the veterans on this roster, sweeps are very difficult and very hard to come by in the league. How huge was that for you guys, you think, to get the three at home against the top 25 and really, I think, one of the better pitching staffs in the conference?
Yeah, last year they had swept us in their house, and so I think we had it in our minds that was our goal this weekend, not only just going for those two after that walk-off on Saturday, but we wanted to sweep this weekend, and by golly, we got it. And not only that, it was thanks to the 12th man, too. Like, everybody was standing up in that last inning, and I was like, okay, here we go. And it wasn't just us on that field. It was the 12th man there with us that really helped.
It was loud, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was definitely loud. Trisha, I want to turn to you as a coach here, because I think a lot of times when a new coach comes in and people will immediately look at maybe new players or transfer portal players, impact-type kids like that. But a kid like this who's been here for her entire career, how important was it for her to buy into what you guys were selling when you came in? This is in year 2. And then, talk about her growth as a player, but maybe also as a person here at A&M as a senior.
Yeah, Trent and Ryland have been just the cornerstone of the program even before we got here. And I think for me to see Trinity last year kind of really figure out who she is and understand that she is one of the best hitters in our game, and now this year she's playing very free. And yes, she has hitters around her, but even if I feel like she didn't have hitters around her, Trinity would still be doing the things that she's doing, because she understands her swing much better. She understands like what pitches to hunt. She's become a hitter versus a swinger. She's always had power. She's always had the ability to change the game. But she studies. She's put in the work. And so I think when you start to get somebody like her to understand and study and really buy in, and her and Ryland have both done that, you get the whole team, you get that transition to happen much quicker.
How about for you, Trent, from your side? For people that don't know, I mean, the team has extensive film sessions on the road. They're going to watch film multiple times throughout the weekend in Starkville. Analytics, understanding the swing. Clearly you bought into that. What's that been like for you as a hitter to have access to all that?
I think there has been a lot of growth from not only my 4 years, but from this year to last year, understanding what Harger tells me during our hitting sessions, that when I start to realize things in my swing before he does, that's when you really know you've gotten to a good spot. And so then you have Jules that comes in, and we're in the same group, and then we can talk back and forth. So it's not just Harger talking at us. We can talk about, like, yeah, you were a little bit earlier. Yeah, you just need to get a little bit more vertical on that. When you really start to understand the game yourself, it becomes a lot more fun and a lot easier.
As a veteran on this team, 23-2 start, you knew you had a chance to have a pretty good team, and there's still a ton of softball to play. So I'm not getting ahead of my skis here, but what's been the most impressive thing to you maybe as a player about this group and what you guys have done to this point in the season?
I would just say, again, our chemistry. I know that's easy to say, but this team has meshed so much better than when we were freshmen as a team. I think the war games, I will say, the war games really helped us. I mean, we were running a triathlon. We were running 4 miles on campus, and not only like the hard work, but also the time that we put off on the field together. We did a lip sync battle. We did a bake-off, and just really putting groups that we wouldn't necessarily be in together outside the field, putting them together and allowing us to bond like that has really helped. But so is our pitching staff. Again, talking about Emily Kennedy, the amount of mental growth that she's had from her freshman year to where she is now speaks a lot about her, because when you're playing on that field and there is bases loaded like we had this weekend with no outs, like, it's hard, but knowing that she's on the mound and she's in that mindset that she is better than them, then you know as a defense, like, oh, we got this, like, nobody's scoring right now. And so I think that's awesome to be able to play behind. And
she said this after the game on Sunday, one of the names that maybe didn't get talked about a lot but is going to get started to talk about now is Brooke Vestal. And Trisha said all the hitters are saying, finally, she's doing this to someone other than us. You speak to kind of her kind of coming out party, so to speak, this last weekend.
Yeah, every single time she struck somebody out, I went over to Rylan. I was like, it's not me. I'm not the one getting victimized right now. Like, it is filthy, and I feel bad for those hitters that are in the box against her, because it's a ridiculous amount of spin. And I remember we had played her at Ole Miss, and Harger's like, why are we swinging and missing so much? I was like, you're going to have to get in that box and see for yourself, because I really have no words what it is. But, yes, Brooke Vestal is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
And then just finally, completely out of left field question here for you. You're playing softball. You're obviously looking to get out of here and graduate, move on, life. What's kind of your plan here? I'm guessing you might want to play a little pro ball, but just kind of overall thoughts on what you want to do once the softball career is wrapped up.
I definitely have my options open, but I'm looking to move into the Houston area. I've had some interviews with some jobs out there. I am an accounting major. Not sure if I want to use it or not, just because audit's a little hard. But I've had an interview with Sewell out in Sugar Land at their Audi dealership, so I'm looking forward to hearing back from them. But, again, my options are open right now.
Awesome. Well, hey, congrats. Really appreciate the time, and we'll see you about 14 hours and get on that plane and head to Mississippi State.
Sounds good.
All right, appreciate it, Trent. Thanks. Trinity Cannon, Aggies first baseman, as the 13th-ranked Aggies get set to head to Mississippi State for a big weekend series. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will wrap up the Aggie Diamond Hour. This is Aggie Softball from Learfield. This copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of Texas A&M and Learfield. Announcers provided by Learfield and Texas A&M University. Wrapping up the Aggie Diamond Hour, Texas A&M softball, 13th ranked team in the nation, on the road this weekend. Currently scheduled 4 o'clock Friday, 1 o'clock Saturday, 11 a.m. on Sunday. Aggies at number 22, Mississippi State. Trisha, the road in the SEC is never easy. This is a team that can hit and they can pitch, and it's going to be a very tough challenge.
Yeah, I think they're full of right-handed hitters, a lot of power to right field, which is kind of how their field is set up. And so we're going to have to play our A game for sure, but excited.
Again, 1 year is not the same as the next, but last year I thought really outside of the one weekend in Columbia, the team performed very well on the road. They really embraced that sort of us against the world mentality. What kind of attitude do you try to take onto the road when you get on that plane? That. Just gritty, hard nose, in your face. Let's play the game hard but right. And one pitch, like, let's win this pitch. How can we take advantage of this pitch? Because we don't know which one of those is going to turn into the one that matters. And then we'll head to Texas State the following Wednesday, which is going to be a really tough midweek game. But back home not this weekend, but the next weekend against Auburn. Obviously, the crowd made a huge difference in the South Carolina win. They can really help the team win ball games, can't they?
Yeah, 100%. Kind of what Coach was talking about earlier. Let's get butts in the stands. If somebody needs tickets, let me know. If they're not using their tickets, let me know. It makes a huge difference. So appreciate everything that they have done for us this year, though.
All right, we appreciate the time, and we will see you on the plane tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, that's Trisha Ford, our head coach. Aggie softball, 23-2, top the league standings at 3-0. Again, the Aggies are in Starkville, Mississippi on Friday at 4 o'clock, Saturday at 1, and Sunday at 11 a.m. They are back home the following weekend against the Auburn Tigers. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Aggie Diamond Hour. From Morgan back at Jeff City, and for our engineer Jeanette Menchow, this is Matt Simon, for Will Johnson, and for Coach Schloss as well. We will see you again next time, as we will have another edition coming up in about a month or so.